Hey, this is Rick. My reaction to what Randy Orton did to Cody Rhodes is I'm really not surprised. Let's just put it that way. He has a vicious streak in him, and he used it to his advantage. I'm not going to stay in this on this too long, but I think you're for a long time you were looking at the guy who as if it wasn't bad enough, he would kick people in the head and end their career. So what he did to Cody, well, the punt was banned, but uh, none of that would happen. Surprised me. And if you take looking back through his career, he has a history of doing some pretty bad shit. Look at the guy. He beat McFoley, last man standing. Now that wasn't a last man standing, I don't think. It was still a brutal match. Undertaker and Hell in a Cell. And Triple H and Ric Flair. You name it. But the voices, the voices thing. I think it's much more than that. I think it's you got to have a killer instinct when you do that kind of when you're in that kind of profession. But the voices, you're talking about a guy who was a former Marine and then he was kicked out. Just because he was kicked out doesn't mean that there ain't stuff going on up there still. And then that whole thing, he was dangerous before he gets injured really bad, comes back. Now he's all really buff up here. He's muscular more than he was. But I mean, if you take a look at the rivalry between him and Bray Wyatt, that went on for years. I think him, and even if it was all set up to be like that, using somebody, I think that that interaction between him and Bray Wyatt made him even more dangerous because if you take a look at some of the things that they did, he became almost soulless. He was soulless before. He had, like he said, he had compassion for the fans. But that whole thing with him and Bray Wyatt, it made him even more dangerous. And then the Fiend, remember that big Inferno match? That was off the charts. It made him even more ruthless. So if you ask me, even though he's dead, Bray Wyatt still carries some of the factor because it was some pretty brutal shit that went down. And all Randy had to do was scoop that up, lock it away in his head. I mean, him and Bray Wyatt, they tore each other up on so many occasions. Then with the Inferno match, well, everybody knows what happened there. It made him even more sadistic, I think. They were talking about Drew McIntyre. Well, Drew McIntyre, actually, Randy Orton got number 14 off Drew in that Hell in a Cell match. Right after let's just say he was going through a metamorphosis in the head. Still is. Personally, I don't even think that Cody Rhodes is on Randy Orton's level. If you take a look in the past when they were teaming up, they were always the backup. DiBiase and Rhodes. So if you take a look at Randy getting number 15, it would be a miracle that he wouldn't. He's not on Randy Orton's level. Never was. Everything you do military wise is on instinct. You turning it off is the hard part. That's real. Anyways, I'm heading out. Later.